Hey everybody, what's going on? We got news earlier that there's a 10x, and I figured we would keep the little 10x series going that we have, where we just kind of go through and do a quick rundown of everybody on the list, and talk about, I don't know, the pros and cons of the 10x, I guess. So I'll say before I get started, if you're new, my general feelings toward 10x is that it's a meh. You know, they've done some things to make it a little more interesting by adding more champs. It used to just be one champ. Even so, understand that your base rates are still the same. This is not like a 2x where your base rates of pulling legendaries or epics are better. Your base rates are the same. If you happen to get lucky and pull an epic or a legendary, then you have a better chance of pulling someone from this list, right? So that's important to keep in mind here before you decide whether or not you want to summon your shards for this. Generally, my advice is don't bother, but depending on where you're at and what you got going on, maybe you want to burn some shards. You know, it's not a big deal. So let's start going through it. We'll just start at the top of the list and work our way down. We'll start with the legendaries and work down. Now Alton, you see I don't have him. He's, other than Turvold, he's the only barb legendary I don't have. I would like to have this dude. I really would. I'm not going to be buying shards and trying to get him or anything. And I just used all my shards for the 2x. So I probably will not end up with him. I'll pop what I have. But he's good. He's a really good one. He's got this A1 attack down that is really nice for clan boss. He fits into a lot of clan boss teams, especially counterattack comps, really well. He's also got really good multipliers. He outputs a lot of damage. You see he's defense type and defense based. He's got high base defense and a solid base speed. He is a very solid champion for that. And not only that, but he can be good on some arena defenses. He can be nice for PvE content, depending on where you are in the game. Not bad at all. The second one attacks an enemy, puts a defense buff on the whole team, puts a shield on the whole team. Lots of utility again in clan boss. That's really nice. Having that defense buff and attack down coming from the same person takes care of a lot of things, right? It opens up a lot of possibilities. And then he's got this passive where every time he kills someone, he revives someone that's dead with 30% HP. And if no one's dead, he resets all of his cooldowns when he kills someone. I kind of brain farted there for a minute. So it's always doing something. It's not like it's a wasted passive if no one's dead. Whether or not someone on your team is dead, this passive does something, and it does something pretty nice. So it's pretty effective. And then just to top it all off, he's got a really solid defense lead for all battles. So as far as legendaries go, as far as champs to be in a 10x, he's a fantastic one. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a situation where you're after him and you've got some shards burning a hole, and you know you're not going to be too bent up about just pulling food because again your base rates are the same. He's not a bad one to go after. He's really solid, really nice, particularly for clan boss, but again can be useful in other places. Next on the list we have Logan. He is no Alton for sure, but he's not awful. He's not going to make any top legendary list or anything, but he's not bad. He's HP based and he does scale off HP, which is nice. Well, his A1 scales off HP anyway, but good enough base HP, you know, good base stats, gonna scale well, gonna be easy to build, gonna be easy to accomplish what you want to accomplish with his stats. He does have this A1 where he heals the whole team based on the damage he inflicts. So if you can get him outputting a good bit of damage, then it can be a decent sort of heal. I've seen some people using him in clan boss comps. I would have to assume that it's a mixture of this with that A1 being pretty handy. But here he's got the defense buff and ally protection. You can get that down to a 4-turn cooldown. And then with masteries, you know, you could get lucky a lot of the time and have him put that defense buff up for 4 turns. So it won't quite be permanent, but it could be handy. And depending on the comp, you know, maybe if you've got some sort of refresher, maybe a painkeeper in the mix or something, maybe you can get him to where he keeps it up permanently. But you know, it's pretty nice, and the ally protection is just a little bit more security. He is HP based, high base HP. You can get his HP way up there and get a little more damage out of him to boot in the process. And then he's got this AoE block cooldown skills. It's not quite as good as like an AoE crowd control for dungeon waves, but it can be helpful. It can keep enemies in waves from using some of their more powerful skills if you don't have a good freeze or a stun or anything like that. So he definitely can be handy, and then he's got an HP lead for faction crypt. So no Alton, but good, right? Not a bad champion by any stretch of the imagination. Moving on, we have old Ignatius. I really like this dude. I think he's pretty fun. I use him in my arena team that has Tormund on it. I like the combination of him and Tormund working together the way they do, so let's talk about it. He's got this A1 stun, skilled up, it goes up to a 25% chance. It's pretty clutch. He is no stranger to landing the stun. I've won a few fights because of the stun. It's pretty nice. Again, he is defense-based, and he does happen to scale off defense, which is nice. Maybe that was the theme that they were going for here. I noticed that all the champs scale off their type, which is nice. So we got an A1 stun. We've got the AoE provoke for 1 turn. Again, this is another one that is very handy in the arena. I run a very, very lockdown, provoke heavy, crowd control heavy defense, and I run the same thing for my offense. So it's that type of team, and this is nice to just kind of stack that on. He can pick up someone else's slack if you're running more, like I'm running Tormund, and I got a lot of things going on in the team, but he can pick up the slack sometimes when people miss. And then he's got this one, which is nice. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing HP burn for 2 turns. It can't be resisted. That's nice, because if you're not interested in the provoke, let's say you just wanted to build him for Spider, you wanted to go the slower tank route of putting up HP burns and letting the burns from the minions tick the Spider down, right? You don't have to worry about accuracy here. And if you skill him up, it's 100% chance, which means it's going on. Here, it might not proc, so it won't go on, but that's not the same as being resisted, right? You get this skill up to the 15% chance, it becomes 100% chance. It's a guaranteed HP burn, no accuracy necessary. Can really take some of the stress off of trying to get someone built to do that job in a Spider team. So he's pretty diverse. He's got a lot of utility. You know, I've seen him solo Nightmare campaign stages, you know, as a Nightmare farmer. He's got, like I said, the Spider utility. He can be really good in arena. Pretty good bit of utility. You can bounce this dude around a little bit and get some stuff out of him. And then he's got the defense lead in all battles. So, I mean, the legendary lineup here is pretty solid. Now, I am just totally having a brain fart here on who Solas is. Bear with me. This guy. Now I remember. I feel like he got buffed. He used to be pretty bad. I don't know if he still is. Here we have an A1 stun that's got a much better chance than Iggy, and he is defense and does scale off defense, it seems. So I'm gonna say that's the theme for this 10x. I'm going out on a limb and saying that's the theme. A1 stun. We got a random 3-hitter, 75% chance to remove a buff, and places provoke if a buff is removed. So this could be pretty nice too, particularly in arena. You could strip immunity off of someone and put a provoke up. So kind of, you know, if it's someone like a Sifi or a Duchess or someone who's putting up those block debuffs, you could, if you get lucky, you could strip it off and provoke. So that could be pretty handy. And then an AoE increases the duration of all debuffs on each target by 1 turn, then places a provoke. That's not bad. That's pretty good PvP style stuff right there. Places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns, equal to damage inflicted. Damage increases by 10% for each debuff on the target. And then we've got a really hefty defense lead for faction crypts. So, yeah, I see a lot of PvP potential here, a lot of arena potential with all these provokes and the stun on the A1. Could be a very aggravating team to go up against on a solid defense. Beyond that, there's some potential for some lockdown and some dungeons if you need that on the waves. Again, you know, maybe some spider tank potential here with all the provokes. Seems like you could get a little bit out of this dude, and he has a void, so he's never at a disadvantage. So, pretty cool champ. I think he's definitely been buffed. I feel like he didn't used to have really any sort of utility, and now he does. So there you go. Where was I just now? Yeah, here we go. This chick, that shield is so cool, man. She's pretty popular. I feel like everybody's relatively familiar with her. She's got the, you got to skill it up for it to be you know, 40% chance is still not bad. So even not skilled up is nice, but skilled up, you get it up to a 60% chance. That is pretty hefty for an A1 attack down. That can be very useful in Clan Boss. She is defense, scales off defense. Here we've got a defense buff and a block debuffs on all allies, and you can get that down to a four turn cooldown. This is really nice, can be really handy in Clan Boss for certain affinities. You know, it keeps you from catching that speed debuff. Pretty deadgum nice, and she's only got these two things she can do, right? So everything she does is meaningful. If this is on cooldown, she's keeping that attack down up. When this is off cooldown, very nice buffs coming up. So particularly handy in Clan Boss. Has 25% chance of completely blocking incoming damage when an ally is attacked. Occurs once per turn. You can get that up to a 50% chance. For some reason, it was coming out to 45 in my head. I was like, what a weird number. 50% chance. I've seen some very interesting stuff done with her. She's got the defense lead for all battles. She's good. She's very good. It's a very simple kit for the most part. It's very straightforward, but it does its job and it does it well. She can be very handy in a Clan Boss comp if you are struggling for an attack down. And this is just, it's really cool, man. It's really, really cool. Introduces some RNG into the mix, but I've seen it work very effectively. So very solid epic champion. Next up, we have old Grizzled Yawl, another defense champ scaling off of defense. He's another one that's pretty popular in Clan Boss, but he's also got some utility in other places. I've seen him used pretty effectively in Fire Knight for the heal block. I've seen, you know, he's good in the waves for the attack down. He does bring an attack down into the Clan Boss fight, as well as the defense buff and the block debuffs. And heal reduction isn't doing you any good in Clan Boss, but he's pretty. You can bounce this dude around a pretty good bit. You can get a lot out of him. He's definitely worth building. He can certainly help you do some things you couldn't do before. So he's pretty handy. Again, not really a lot to cover here. AoE attack down, helps you out in the waves if you're taking too much damage. A defense buff, of course, is always handy. And then yeah, he's seen some interesting stuff done with him in Clan Boss as well. Pretty solid epic. Next up, we got old where you at? I love this dude. I really like this champion. I think he's really cool. I have a lot of fun playing with this dude, and I've used him in a lot of different places for a lot of different things. I'm really a big fan of him. He has a lot of utility. He's one of these champs you can take to a lot of different places and get a lot out of him. He's got a 3-hitter A1 with turn meter knockback. Makes him killer for Fire Knight. Defense champ, scales off defense. Good multipliers. This dude can put out some damage. I had him set up to do damage for a while. This dude can smack. You'll take a noticeable chunk out of anything's health bar with this dude. His A2, he brings an attack down and a speed break for anywhere you can place it. But again, in Clan Boss in particular, it's pretty nice to have the attack down. And then the A3, the defense buff with the Revive on Death, is nice. You can get that down to a 4-turn. You can get this down to a 3-turn. So it's 2-turn attack down with masteries. It could be 3-turn pretty often, and you know, borderline permanent. It's not going to be permanent, but borderline permanent attack down. And again, lots of utility. Excellent for Clan Boss. Excellent for Fire Knight. Excellent in general for dungeons. You know, that defense buff with the Revive on Death can come in pretty handy. Putting the attack down up on the bosses can increase your survivability, and then the A1, which again is just killer for Fire Knight. And then last on the list, we have Umbral Enchantress, who again, pretty solid champ. She does more damage as her HP gets lower, so she kind of has like a Fury proc built in to her A1. She's got an AoE block buffs for 3 turns, which is a lot, a lot of block buffs. And then she's got an AoE provoke. She puts unkillable on herself for 2 turns, block cooldown skill debuff on herself for 5 turns, and block cooldown skill debuff cannot be resisted and cannot be removed. So kind of an interesting little setup there. What she's probably most popular for that I'm aware of is they like using her in fusions. I feel like I've seen this chick in a lot of fusions. She's not a bad champ. you know, there are things that can be done with her that are interesting. She's defense scaling, all that stuff. Obviously, that's the theme of the 10X. We've pretty much confirmed it at this point. But if for nothing else, I've seen her. She's, at least my memory is telling me, she's been a pretty popular fusion champ. So, you know, if for no other reason, it's good to have her in the vault for that. But yeah, that's it. That's the list of 10X. Again, generally the same feeling, but I mean, pretty fun set of champs here. I'm a big fan of Lightsworn. I have done some things with Jarl. Sentinel is really good, and then the list of epics is pretty solid. Alton, Ignatius are killer legendaries. Logan is not bad, and Solas is pretty good, even if on a more specific scale. It's not a bad list of champions, you know. It's just a matter of if you wanna take the plunge and participate in the 10X. So I say if you've got some shards lying around, you're not really saving for anything in particular, and you need someone on this list, you know, if you need an Alton or an Ignatius or something, I would go for it. I'm gonna burn what I have. I don't have many, but I'll probably pop what I have sitting around. So that's it. That's the 10X list. Let me know if you guys are going for anybody, if there's anybody on this list you've been after for a while. For me, it's definitely Alton. He's the only one on the list I'm interested in. I think he's the only one on the list I don't have. I don't guess I have Solas, but I don't know if Void Legendaries count for comments like that. So yeah, I guess I'd like to get an Alton. More than likely isn't going to happen, but we'll see, I reckon. But yeah, let me know who you guys are going for. That's it. No stream tomorrow for anybody that's trying to frequent the streams. We'll be back to the streams on Monday, and again, come in, hang out, try to get an entry for the giveaway on Friday for the $25 gift card. Other than that, I'm done rambling. Let me know who you guys are trying to get in this event, and I'll see you later.